From a new Charleston County Council being sworn in last night to the latest projects around the county, I talked one-on-one with Charleston County Council member Jenny Honeycutt for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Councilwoman Jenny Honeycutt, welcome back to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Good morning, Quintin. It's so good to be here.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. Obviously, you're a Charleston County Council member. And last night, right across the street here, you had the swearing in, actually, of the new county council members, and of course, coroner and other officials. What's your vision for the new Charleston County Council?
I'm looking forward to the opportunity to work together. This is the first time since I've been on county council that we introduce new members, and so it's exciting to have sort of a new future ahead, and I look forward to all the cooperation and working together that we can do.
And I'm gonna get back to that in just a second, but obviously let me take you because I want to know this. What do you want to accomplish as far as for your district before your term actually ends?
So we've still got a lot going on, mainly transportation. As you know, I ran on the safe roads issue, so want to see those projects come through and work with other areas of the county, not just James Island, but other areas. We've got a lot going on in North Charleston. We've opened our recycling facility, so we have a lot going on and a lot more to do.
And I know that obviously, when I just talked about your term, obviously that comes up in the next year or so, and I know that you obviously have to decide by March 2022 if you want to run again. Do you hope to run by that time?
I'm still going to decide then. I haven't committed and I haven't said I won't. I feel like there's a lot to be done, and if I'm effective, I will definitely consider running again.
How effective are you right now?
Look, I feel like with the majority we had, we got a lot accomplished as the Republicans. You know, things change, and again, like Chairman Pryor said last night, I think there's an opportunity to work together if we can put partisan politics aside.
But what role do you feel partnership plays on county council?
Well, I think partisanship can be divisive, but the issues that we face in Charleston County really aren't partisan. What we're trying to do is what's best for the community, and I think we can all gather around that.
And let me talk to you once again about transportation. Obviously, I want to know this too. What transportation projects are in the works when it comes to James Island, Folly Beach, Kiowa, and Seabrook?
So we've got a lot. There's the Main Road Corridor project, the plan on the table for widening Betsy Carrison and Main Road, Bohicket Road. We've got obviously 526 in the pipeline. There are a bunch of intersection improvements at Fort Johnson Road, Secessionville, Fort Johnson and Camp. Obviously Central Park and Riverland has been one that we've been discussing. So a lot of different road projects in District 9.
And speaking of Kiowa or Seabrook, where is your positioning on the widening of Betsy Carrison?
Well, I think we're still evaluating the various alternatives that are out there, and so we're waiting on the public comment to see how people feel about it.
I know you have to wait on the public section of it, but what are those alternatives that are ideal right now, what you're hearing from the community?
Yeah, so our staff have come up with several that are sort of the ones that they're focused on. There's always the Cross Island Parkway, in addition to widening. It's going to affect a lot of land, but we know that additional roads are needed, so we just need to do what's best for the entire community.
What's the environmental impact with that?
It ranges. It depends on whether or not you're going through wetlands or whether you're going through, people's property. But yeah, there are environmental impacts with any road project.
And I know, obviously, you said obviously, when it comes to Republicans and Democrats, some of that kind of plays into decision making on county council. Does it actually matter?
Well, I mean, it does to some degree. I mean, there are certain philosophies that we have. I think fiscal conservatism would maybe hold back on developing new programs while we're in such a budget crisis because of COVID. So we'll have to see how those ideas develop. We have to solve the affordable housing crisis we have, but how do we do that in a situation where voters have rejected a referendum and we really are pinching pennies when it comes to how we spend our tax dollars?
What are those new programs?
I know that some members of council, particularly our new members, are looking at how we solve affordable housing. Right. And do we create a new fund, and do we have to raise taxes to do that? And I think voters don't want to see their taxes raised in an environment like we're in today. They've struggled a lot this year, and we don't want to put that burden on them.
And I know, I hate to say this, but you all obviously are pinching pennies at Charleston County. What does the tax revenues right now look these days with the COVID situation?
Well, we have done everything we can to design our budget to accommodate for this kind of hardship. And so it's required moving around monies, anticipating tax shortfalls, and all kinds of different challenges we faced. We've done the best we could. It was freezing salaries, not increasing staff when different departments had requested. So we do have to look at what's absolutely essential, and we have to make wise decisions in how to spend those limited resources.
What's essential right now?
Well, I think EMS is one of them. We've got to focus on making sure we provide the essential public safety services to the community. So that'll be a huge area of focus for me in this next couple years.
Where did the county move around the money during this whole entire COVID situation?
Well, and it wasn't so much moving, it was just holding the money. But we had some issues with the municipalities on how we distribute tax funding. And so we had to hold resources there. So those are the types of examples of things that we did.
Where exactly is the shortfall when it comes to the tax?
Well, obviously the revenues from tourism are down right now. So even, based on how many people are using the airport. And we certainly want to see that increase again, but we have to be safe in the current environment with all that's going on.
How does the decline in revenue affect plans for spending, particularly on roads?
Well, the sales tax, the transportation sales tax is where the road projects come in, and so those sales tax revenues haven't been hit as hard as, say, the tax revenues, but certainly we have to look at all of those dynamics.
What other dynamics are you looking at?
Property taxes, we were in a reassessment year, so we've balanced that, and there are a lot of revenue sources, but again, the key is to spend wisely what we have in anticipation of any shortfalls.
What revenue sources are you looking at right now?
Well, again, the revenues such as property tax revenues, sales tax revenues, tax revenues, fees, and other things.
Yes, ma'am. And let me go over to North Charleston. You talked about, obviously, the recycling center. And let me talk to you about the old Naval Hospital. Charleston County Council agreed to sell the 10-story, 400,000 square foot building at Rivers and Milling Avenue, and the 23-acre property it sits upon for $15 million. Previously, the county had considered spending $6 million to tear the building down. Numerous local and federal tax breaks are involved, and a portion of the purchase price, that is, could be refunded if one of the tax breaks falls due. How many local and federal tax breaks are there altogether?
Well, I think the developer could speak better to that. But yes, there were some historic tax credits that they were expecting, and if for some reason they didn't get those or that didn't fall through, it was sort of part of the negotiations. But look, when I came on county council, our plan was to spend a lot of money to tear the building down. And I felt like that building really did have good bones and could be used to anchor a transit-oriented development. Not to mention, we really needed a home, a good home for our Deotis facility, and a community service center that community needs. And it has been long coming, and I'm thrilled with the potential for our new social service hub there.
And when you go back to the old Naval Hospital, what was the purchase price?
That was before my time, Quintin, and I haven't spent a whole lot of time looking back at that. I was there to solve the issues, help solve those issues, and I feel like we are on a good path forward.
And I know from the Postal Courier says that the company controlled by the same developers will also build a county. Obviously, they're building a new social service right across the street. That's my running route. But obviously, it received a $2.45 million fee for what it is right now. What would that fee be for?
The construction management services.
Okay.
So when they build that huge facility, they get their service fee out of that.
Yes, ma'am. Let me turn to Arundel. What's going on with the park that was, I guess, developed there?
That's a good question. Arundel is not in my district, and so I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about.
Okay, no worries. And let me go over to Johns Island, because I want to know what's going on with the development across from the airport on Johns Island.
Again, I don't specifically know what those developments are. Obviously, a lot of development going on Johns Island right now, and so we'll be watching.
We'll be watching. I know you mentioned 526 earlier. Do we have enough money in place for that right now?
We'll see. We have to get the budget numbers. We still have not gotten the final budget numbers. And so actually we're in the process, and we'll begin collecting public comment again in the next couple months. So.
And what exactly do you hope to hear from the public?
Well, I mean, we are presenting the preferred alternative again. It will be, from what we can see, very similar to what we produced before. And we just want to make sure that it's what everybody wants.
I know in the last interview I did with you when I did it over at your office on James Island, you talk about those environmental impacts. What are the impacts for I-526 right now as far as the extension there?
The extension is the same as it was.
Okay.
Man, this has been in the works for a long time, as you know. And any saltwater impacts, as you know, the county recently purchased land for a mitigation bank, saltwater mitigation bank within Charleston County, which is a huge deal to be able to buy within our own, jurisdiction. So we will definitely offset those impacts, but again, with any road project, there are going to be environmental impacts.
And how will that be offset?
So the way it works is you buy saltwater mitigation impacts from the banks that you set up, and so while that area that we bought for the bank is needs to be refurbished and redone, we'll then exchange those credits.
And how long will it take to exchange those credits?
That's just a function of the development process of the actual construction.
And what do you hope to do this year?
Gosh, we have a lot in front of us. I think the main things are addressing our public safety needs, making sure our budget is, meets the needs of our constituents while also not raising taxes, and also, making sure that people in Charleston County appreciate the services they're getting, and that they know that the Charleston County government is looking out for them.
Now, besides the EMS, what are those other public safety needs?
We have a new sheriff we're going to be working with, so that's exciting. We have, all kinds of issues. We have a new hub in the center adjacent to our CDC that's collecting and gathering information from all, law enforcement sources to better serve the public. So there's a lot of things out there.
That is great to hear. Well, Councilwoman Jenny Honeycutt, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome back to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin. Have a good one.
Likewise.